What's going on? I'm George. This is the Sports Show. Today we got Brian joining us. Brian, how is it going?
Hey, what's up, George? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. I'm doing all right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got a lot to talk about today, and this is what's on deck. We got Jason Kelsey's legacy. He just announced his retirement. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Russell Wilson's future. He met with the Broncos and the Steelers today. We'll see where he ends up. We're also going to talk about teams under the most pressure this offseason. The NFL draft's coming up. Maybe Justin Fields gets traded. We'll see what happens. And then we're going to play a little game called Who's Him. But let's start off with Jason Kelsey and him announcing his retirement this week. He had a press conference, super emotional, one of the greatest Philadelphia athletes of all time. I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on his retirement? Where does this leave the Eagles, and what has he meant to the city of Philadelphia?
It hurt. I mean, I still haven't watched it because I didn't want to feel like it's like when you have your favorite
Yeah.
superhero and they die and you have to, like
Yeah,
you
no, I
don't
get
want
that.
that to happen. It's like
Yep.
when, like, yeah, so I just haven't watched his retirement speech yet, and I think the team's gonna be hurt. I think, as far as where he stands with the city, I think he's a good in caps. Like he's a good overall representation of what the city stands for. Like when it comes to athletics, how
Yep.
serious they take it, what he means in the community, how he resonates with different communities. Because if you go around that city, it's not just one community.
Yep.
There's a bunch of different communities. It resonates with all of them.
Yep.
He's very much so was like he just didn't play both ways, but he was like our Chuck Bednarik. So like
Yep.
it's gonna hurt not having him.
Yep.
You could tell like during the season he would audible, he would do things that to look out for Jalen. So I think Jalen's gonna be hurting the most, losing
Yep.
him. Our run game's you know, gonna be hurt.
Yep.
Um, just he was just a remarkable athlete, but
Yep.
I'm happy that he stepped down at a time. I'm happy he walked away. I'm happy he wasn't carted away. A
Yep.
lot of times you get your favorite athlete carted and they never come back. So
Yep.
it's nice that he walked off, giving it his all. And then we still have other great players coming back this year. Brandon Graham's coming back,
Yep.
which for his 15th season, who would have thought that? I mean, I
I
remember
know.
being young and watching BG, and everyone thought BG was a bust, but then you just put
Yep.
him in the right system.
Yep.
So I think we'll be good. Cam Jurgens can slide over.
Yep.
I think he proved himself at guard, which I mean the run blocking he was doing at guard, if we can get that kind of production out of a center is amazing. If we can
Yeah.
get that
Well,
kind of
yeah.
pass, if we can get that kind of offensive pass blocking out of him at center,
Yep.
it'd be amazing, I think. And then there's highlights and there's quotes and anecdotes that Jason Kelsey thought Cam was gonna be the next him. So
Yep. Well, that's the big question, man. I mean, it's hard to replace a Hall of Fame center like Jason Kelsey. I mean, not only replacing what he does on the field, but off the field as well. He's a leader in the clubhouse. He does a lot of work for the city. He's a major voice for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's really the face of the Philadelphia Eagles these last 10 years. And so Cam Jurgens has big shoes to fill. He's going to come in. He obviously had a great year at guard, didn't give up any sacks. So he's moving over to center. It's what he was drafted to play. So I think they've been preparing for this. It was really a ticking clock on when he was going to retire. But I mean, I think the Eagles, like after last season, especially, you got off to a great start. It's disappointing that he went out this way. You're hoping maybe he ends it on a ring. But you're right. Didn't get injured. Gets to walk away on his own power. But we have to see how well Cam Jurgens can really fill the offensive line. And again, you have to remember the offensive line has been like a top five unit among the entire
number
NFL.
one.
So this is going to be a lot of rebuilding right now. You got Lane Johnson getting a little bit older. You're moving Cam Jurgens over. You lost Isaac Seumalo last year. So there's going to be a lot of filling in gaps. And the draft is going to be super important for the Eagles. And I'm sure Harry Roseman's going to look at some offensive tackles to draft. But yeah, it's really big shoes to fill. But where do you have him ranked as, we always talk about the greatest Philadelphia athletes ever. There's always the great Sixers, Dr. J, Will Chamberlain. You're talking about Joel Embiid maybe someday getting into that conversation. Allen Iverson, you got the great Phillies, the great Flyers. Where does Jason Kelsey rank among those Philadelphia greats?
Um, I think definitely statue worthy. So,
Yes.
I think it's definitely statue worthy. So I think he's right up there, top
Yep.
25, top 10. I mean, very memorable. I think he's just someone that everyone's gonna remember. So like,
100%.
and it won't just be it was really how he spoke for himself too.
Yeah.
It's something that was very relatable. He wasn't, one of those players like you know, like that came out of Harvard. He
Yep.
came from a blue collar town, came from he had to work his way up from a very, middle of the pack
Yep.
D1 school. So I think when he the way he spoke to everyone, everyone felt like that was, their brother. That felt like that was, you know, someone that they could relate to. So I think he's very memorable. I'd say he's top 25 for sure
Yeah.
as far
I mean,
as
I'll even go as far as say I think he's top five. You talk about all-time Philadelphia athletes, man. You talk about winning a Super Bowl. The Eagles only have won one Super Bowl in their entire history. He gave that speech. Like the iconic Super Bowl speech. He was on that team. Like he has had such a major impact on the Philadelphia organization and Philadelphia as a city. I think when it's all said and done, you know, who knows how many years will pass by. I don't think anyone. I mean, there's very few guys who are going to be able to surpass Jason Kelsey's legacy in the city of Philadelphia, in my opinion. But let's move on to Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson had a very, very turbulent year this year. They brought in Sean Payton. They thought he was going to fix him. The Broncos were very mid. Russell Wilson didn't have a bad year. I mean, I got the stats. He had
not at
26
all.
touchdowns, 8 picks, I believe. Um, Let me make sure of that. Yeah, 26 touchdowns, 8 picks. He was an average quarterback, but Sean Payton decided to
He
bench
was
him.
above average. Is 15, let's say 15th overall in your ratings is average. He was eighth in passer rating.
Yeah,
His passer rating was a 98.0.
I think he was done dirty. I think Russell Wilson had a
Oh,
decent year.
disgusting. Yeah,
I think Sean Payton, quite frankly,
he
he's
needs to
taking
go.
control of this organization, and I don't think the Broncos are heading in the right direction. Just the fact that he benched Wilson, saying that they had a better chance to win with Jarrett Stidham was just, I think that was outrageous. You're talking about Russell Wilson, Super Bowl champion, who had a good year. He had a good year. Like you can't
Mhm.
blame him for them being that bad. It doesn't work like that. So I don't know. Today, Russell Wilson met with the Giants. He also is supposed to meet with the Steelers. Do you see either of those as good fits for Russell Wilson, or if not, where else do you think he'd go?
I think he'd be great with the Steelers. To be honest, I don't think the Steelers have much of a future with Pickett.
Yeah,
Um, And it's just that's just been the story with them. I mean, they're getting their offense together as far as the X's and O's go. And I think Russell Wilson, he'll be a great fit for any team. I don't
yeah,
think he's a scheme quarterback. I don't think anything he's ever done was schemed up for him. He really made a lot of what he's become is him making the plays. And you're getting someone who threw, 26 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Your average yards per attempt was 6.9. I
yeah,
mean, he was balling and he really didn't have anyone to throw to. I mean, he had a couple big slow tight ends and then Judy. I
yeah,
mean, he was doing his thing, I think, and he was bringing them back. I mean, they started horrendously,
yeah,
and I think they went on a run like 5 straight games. They were like 1-5 or something.
yeah.
We're doing horrible,
I,
and
yeah.
he didn't deserve that.
No, 100%. I agree. I think Russell Wilson still has good football left in his career. I think he still can
Mhm.
play at a high level. I don't think the Giants would. I don't think the Giants are a good fit for any quarterback. I mean, you look at the Giants, like it's really been a dumpster fire. You talking about they hired Joe Judge, didn't work out. Now they have Brian Dayball, had a great first year, got to the playoffs, got killed by the Eagles, then a really bad last year. I think Daniel Jones is not the answer. I just don't think he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. But I think Russell Wilson, if it comes down to having no options or not playing football and playing for the Giants, if it was me, I'm retiring. I'm calling it a career. I don't I don't think anyone should step into that situation in New York. They don't have a good wide receiver group. Darren Waller is, he's a good tight end, but nothing amazing. There's just a lot of questions in New York. I think the Steelers would be a good fit. I think Mike Tomlin is a really good football coach, 100% top three in the NFL.
Amazing.
Kenny Pickett is really an average quarterback. I don't think he's ever going to get you
He's a
to
Daniel Jones.
win. but but yeah, I think Russell Wilson, he goes to Steelers. I think they're a playoff team. I don't know if you compete with the likes of the Chiefs or the Bills or the Ravens, but you give yourself a chance in a division with Cleveland, who was great last year, Baltimore and Cincinnati. That's already a really tough division. You throw Russell Wilson into the mix. I mean, who knows who wins the division? But yeah. Do you think Russell Wilson has 3, 4, 5 years left, or is this really just a short term, 1 or 2 year stint with a team, and then maybe he calls it a career?
I think he definitely has a good amount of years left. It's a different NFL now. Like you're not as likely to die as you were. Like, I mean, it's horrible to say,
Yeah,
but especially if you're a quarterback,
yeah.
you're
Oh,
not.
bro, soft penalties, bro. I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
and that's Sean Payton is the one who is mainly responsible for that.
Yeah.
His bounty hunting that he was doing with the New Orleans Saints is the reason why quarterbacks are so much safer now.
Yep.
So I think he'd be a great option for a lot of teams.
Yeah.
I think he, for some reason, is getting scapegoated. He got scapegoated there. They're gonna, he's becoming a bit of a black sheep. But I mean, his play speaks for himself. He's a great leader. I think he's a little cringy. I mean, he's not, he's
Broncos country. Let's
yeah,
ride.
that's right. I mean, I would love to see him in Pittsburgh. I think he would do great in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing for him. But yeah, he's got plenty in the tank. I would compare him to like Drew Brees. I think he's like a scrappy little quarterback
Yeah.
that has wheels, he still can chuck it,
Yeah.
60 yards. Like,
I
he's
mean,
not throwing
yeah, I think look, I don't know if he's a top 10 quarterback anymore. I don't know.
statistically is, so
But I think he's a quarterback who can win you some games and who can keep you in the pack, middle of the pack, get some playoff spots. I think Russell Wilson, he was definitely not the problem in Denver. And I don't know what direction Denver wants to head in, but he was definitely scapegoated. I think Sean Payton, when he got the job, I think he knew he didn't want Russell Wilson. I think he knew that when he got the job. I think he thought to himself, let me coach out this one season. If something goes wrong, I'll blame it on Russell Wilson, and then I'll get it my way, and I'll get the quarterback I want to coach. Right? Russell Wilson was there before Sean Payton got there. He signed a big deal, and clearly Russell Wilson was not in Sean Payton's plans for the future. So Sean Payton's going to find his guy. I mean, I don't really know how many better quarterbacks are available other than Russell Wilson. Who knows? Maybe they draft a quarterback. We'll see what happens. But I think Russell Wilson was done dirty. And I hope he ends up in a situation where he can at least win some football games. Hopefully he doesn't go to a Giants or a Commanders. I'm hoping maybe he goes to Steelers. That's a team with a really good defense. With a good defense, you can win football games. So you get Russell Wilson in there. Maybe that gives him a shot. But I mean, yeah,
I'm gonna
statistically, he's
just put this
top
out
10.
there.
What'd
Put
you
this
say?
out there. I'm gonna just put this out there. Is Brock Purdy better than Russell Wilson? Come on. Brock Purdy is Russell Wilson's son. There would be no Brock Purdy if there wasn't a Russell
Look,
Wilson. You put Russell Wilson on the 49ers, and they're exactly where they were last
I
year.
agree. I think Brock Purdy is much of Brock Purdy is a product of the system he's in. I agree with that 100%. At the same time, bro, it takes something to throw the ball on time, throw the ball to the right receiver, make the right plays. And Brock Purdy did all those things. Russell Wilson, obviously this year, did not have a bad season. But you're talking about Brock Purdy, right? Brock Purdy had 31 touchdowns, right? 31 touchdowns this year, 11 picks. He took care of the football. Now, obviously, the amount of talent on the 49ers compared to the Broncos, obviously, you're
Night and
expected to
day.
be better. Obviously, you got Debo, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Ayuk. You got all pros all over the field. But I mean, look, if in my opinion, I think Russell Wilson and Purdy, I don't think there's a huge difference. But if I'm choosing a quarterback, I'm taking Purdy. After this last year, I got to go Purdy. I have to. You get one to the
I
Super
don't
Bowl.
think anyone's choosing Purdy over Russell Wilson.
I,
They're not. They're
I
just not.
need. I need.
Outside, if you take him outside of that, so the only reason Brock Purdy has so much timing is because I don't even want to get into this, but he's just always under center. So
100%.
he's always under center, 3-step drop, 5-step drop.
Yep.
Everything is scripted for him.
Yep.
I'm gonna take Russell Wilson over Brock Purdy all day.
Look, I'm not going to argue
Especially
with
for
you.
the next, I mean, for the next, if I'm winning now, if I want to win right now, yeah, I'm gonna take Russell Wilson.
No, listen, I think that's a valid argument. I think Russell Wilson's still a good quarterback. But I'm just saying, based on last year, going to the Super Bowl, Brock Purdy had to make some plays. He made some plays. I got to go Brock Purdy. But I think Russell Wilson is also a very, I mean, you can make a very good argument for Russell Wilson. But Let's move on. We talked about Russell Wilson, his offseason, but let's talk about teams under the most pressure. You got a lot of teams now who've had years of, trying to get to the Super Bowl. I don't want to say any names or anything, but the Dallas Cowboys, every year they go in thinking they're going to win the Super Bowl and they keep on falling short. Now there's a lot of rumors about maybe Derrick Henry, some other big name running back going to Dallas. What do you think Dallas needs to do? I think every year they're under a ton of pressure, especially it's Jerry World. Jerry Jones puts a lot of pressure on this football team, supposedly America's team. What do they need to do to maybe find themselves in the Super Bowl next year instead of at home after the first round of the playoffs?
Mm, I think they got to get Jerry out the building. I mean, and that's never going to happen. But I think he just
There's only
has
one
too
way that
much.
can happen. There's only one way that's gonna happen.
Yeah, we know how that's going to happen. He's going to out Davis himself out the building. But I think he has too much of a culture control over that team. And I think that really matters. I think no one's putting pressure on the Cowboys besides him.
Yep.
I honestly don't believe anyone starts the season out thinking these Cowboys are going to make it to the Super Bowl besides Jerry Jones. Like
And
he's the
Cowboys
only
fans.
one.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think he's the one putting all this pressure on everyone. I mean, I just I just remember they had that return man. Um
Oh, Turpin.
Turpin, yes.
I'll say
And
Turpin. Yes.
he was announced to be a Pro Bowler, and I remember them quoting him as saying that he walked into Jerry's office and didn't know if he was going to get cut, but ended up being a Pro Bowler. Like, you should never be under that much pressure where you're an actual Pro Bowler, but you think you're about to get cut. That's disgusting. I think,
Dalton Schultz. He was the tight end for the Cowboys. He was on the Texans. I think he got moved there. He was talking about how they would be in the weight room and it would feel like a zoo. He like Jerry Jones would have people come in on tours, like and look at them like in the weight room. It's like what kind of like the environment I think Jerry Jones has organized and set up in Dallas has been detrimental to them
mhm.
winning football games, going deep in the playoffs. It's almost more entertainment than it is playing a sport and playing football. I honestly think it's that way. And I think Jerry Jones he's a big reason as to why the Cowboys are not finding themselves winning Super Bowls anymore. But yeah, I just Dak Prescott, do you think he's the answer? I mean, they're talking about giving him a big contract extension. I mean, obviously, Dak
He's
Prescott, you talk about the
solid.
year he had. I mean, 36 touchdowns, 9 picks. I mean, you talk about that stat line, and you say to yourself, okay, that's obviously MVP level stat line. I mean, is Dak Prescott the problem?
He's definitely not the problem. I think he's definitely a top. You can put him top five and really vouch for him. Um, he's really a great quarterback. I think they need to hold on to him. Um, Coaching, maybe if you get a good enough coach that can, overcome and set a new like culture, a
Yeah,
new precedence of culture there. But
yeah,
really, their main issue is just like you're saying, they're more of an attraction than they are
for
a
sure.
viable football team. No one really fears them. There's
Sure.
that whole like psychological effect that you're gonna play the Cowboys.
Yeah,
So it's more of a thing for TV than it is, having to
100%.
prepare for any like outside of their defense, they don't have anyone on offense. CeeDee Lamb is very solid,
Yep,
but they don't scare you. I mean, Dak Prescott, he's solid. You can count on him throwing, you can count on them having 21 points, 28 points.
yep,
But, you know, depending on, you can tell whether that's going to be the case early in the game and you know what you got to do. I
yep.
mean, if it's a shootout, it's a shootout. But I think Jordan Love ate them up. He ate them up. I mean, that was the Green Bay Packers ate them up. And I think the Green Bay Packers are, you know, that's a team. Like that's a team that have the right culture behind them, right town behind them. And I just don't think Dallas has that. I don't think they have like what it takes internally. I think they have all the right, they have the horsepower. I just don't think they have the right driver and be beyond the quarterback.
Coaching, I think Mike McCarthy. You talk about that playoff game. I was watching the game, and the Packers owned them on every aspect of the field. Special teams, offense, defense, coaching. Like there was no like the only reason the game was as close as it was because the Packers like could sit back and literally play no defense and let the Cowboys score touchdown after touchdown because they were still not going to come back. I mean, how can you have 40 piece hung on your head in the playoffs at home? It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know how you don't fire Mike McCarthy. I mean, Mike
Yeah, he's
McCarthy,
too
in my
predictable.
opinion, like I don't Jerry Jones, what he did with Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett had the job way too long, right? Jerry Jones hangs on to guys, hangs on to coaches, gives them a ton of chances. But Cowboys never won a Super Bowl with Jason Garrett. They're not going to win a Super Bowl with Mike McCarthy. I can guarantee you that.
But
So I don't understand like how you can run this back with the same coach. And now you lost Dan Quinn, your defensive coordinator. Like I just don't see them getting any better. It seems like every year you got the same quarterback, same skill players, CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard. They had Zeke. They got rid of Zeke. I just don't. They have a great defense. You're talking about Micah Parsons.
they're
Micah
gonna use
Parsons,
Michael. Of
a dog. He's unbelievable. I would gladly take him on the Eagles. Right? I mean, he's
course.
unbelievable. Demarcus Lawrence, Trevon Diggs, bro. They had Deron Bland. He led the league in interceptions. I just don't understand how a team like that doesn't make even the NFC Championship game. I just don't get it. Like, what do you think the problem is?
It's their coaching and it's their front office. Like they have all the pieces,
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, you need to dial it up, right?
yeah,
I don't think Dak Prescott, even though he has all the physical intangibles, he I don't think he audibles great. I don't think he makes great
yeah,
decisions under pressure. If you can get to him, you're winning the game.
yeah,
Um, but you have to get to him the right way. You have to, keep him scrambling in a certain way because he
yep,
can pick up his little 10, 20 yards every now and then.
yep.
So I think really it's there. I want there's no other better option than Dak Prescott right now for them.
Yeah.
Um, and he's a great quarterback, but I think overall the team's too predictable. You know what they're gonna do.
I
So
agree with that.
when you see the team at the end of the season, you know
Yeah.
what they're doing. I think the teams that win at the end of the season do things that you know is coming, but you can't do anything about it.
It's like
Um,
Kansas City, man. Yeah, yeah,
you know, like Christian McCaffrey is gonna get the ball, but
yep.
you can't do anything about it.
Can't stop. Yep,
Can't stop. Patrick Mahomes is gonna scramble for 2 minutes and he's
yep,
gonna scramble for his life, and you're not gonna be able to do anything about it.
yep.
So I think they're predictable in a way that's stoppable, and that's
So
all it is.
you talked about Dak Prescott being arguably a top five quarterback in the NFL. Who are those top five guys for you? Who are the top end quarterbacks in the National Football League right now?
For me, all right, my number one is obviously Patrick Mahomes. I think Patrick Mahomes, he got the script and he got the quarterback. So when I say he's got the script,
Yep.
the NFL is written for him to win right now. Like that's just how it's fallen.
When you're a great quarterback, you earn that. When you're a great
Yeah.
quarterback, you earn that. So it's well deserved.
Then I got Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen is on a horrible team. I think he's just on a bad team. He's got one of the worst offensive lines. Yeah, he turns the ball over, but he's doing a lot with a little.
All
Um,
right, go ahead, go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish.
CJ Stroud, I think
Oh,
what he
wow.
did.
Okay.
There's been only like 10 other quarterbacks that were rookies to go to playoffs.
Okay. Okay.
Um, Jordan Love, I think he's going to be amazing. Uh, and then Jared Goff.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I
That's
think I,
some big names out of there. I mean, look, that's a respectable list. But you're telling me a guy like Lamar Jackson who just won MVP isn't top five?
no, I mean, Lamar Jackson takes too much sacks and for big yards. Yeah,
Wow.
so
I look, if it's me, I got Lamar Jackson in there. I got Jalen Hurts in there. I
too
think
many sacks.
I think Josh Allen's too high, in my opinion. But I think Josh Allen turns the ball over way too much, and I think we're gonna get into that in a future episode. But I think I
But
think
most of his interceptions are just punts. So
well,
I'd rather take a punted intercepted interception than a sack that like either way
yeah,
people are taking 10, 15 more sacks than him,
yeah,
and those are just as much drive killers as interceptions are.
that's fair. That's fair. I just think sometimes I think sometimes interceptions they have. more of a negative feeling to him. You know how a game goes, the vibe of a game. You know, your quarterback throws a pick. That gets the defense going. You know, like
Yeah,
you get
yeah.
off the field by giving them the ball. You know, punting the ball is a little bit more okay. You 3 and out, whatever. You can put the ball. But like when you throw it away, like I feel like it's just a bad energy for the team. You know, like you don't ever like turning the ball over. So I don't know. I feel like his turnover is like the one thing in his game that needs to be improved. It's almost like a Carson Wentz type thing. Like sometimes he makes bad decisions. You know, and you just have to stop making those bad decisions, even though if they're just deep Hail Marys, you know, 3rd and 20, whatever. Sometimes you just got to take care of the football. But we're going to play a little game. And this is going to involve the quarterbacks. And the game's called Who's Him. All right. I'm going to give you stats from two different quarterbacks. Two different quarterbacks. And I want you to tell me, without knowing who they are, who
Okay.
you'd rather have as your quarterback. All right.
All right.
All right. Player A. He's got 4,183 yards passing this year or last year. He had a 27-14 passing touchdown to interception ratio. He had a 67.2 completion percentage and a 92.6 rating. Player B had 4,280 yards, 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 69.4% completion percentage, and an 113 rating. Which guy would you choose?
Oh, that 113, I know that's Brock Purdy. So I'm just gonna go with A because I don't think Brock Purdy's doing that on any other team.
All right, well, you were right. Player B was Brock Purdy. Player A was Patrick Mahomes. Player A was Patrick Mahomes. But when you think about it, right, 27 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. That's not even a 2-to-1 ratio, which is pretty crazy to think about. And this guy has 3 Super Bowls. The Chiefs struggled all year. And somehow, when the lights get the brightest, he plays better football at the position than anyone else in the NFL. It's remarkable to me. But, I mean,
I
that's
really do
surprised
think
you?
it's the referees. Like if you look, someone did a breakdown of how many of his interceptions were actually like called back with a flag.
Yeah.
It's just scripted for him. I think like at the end of the day, they say that NFL is a entertainment league and they're allowed to write it up however they want. I really believe that. I would never bet on the NFL unless I'm betting for the script. Yeah, I think it's made for him to succeed right now.
No comment, man. No comment. I think, listen, I think when you're great, calls tend to go your way. That's how it works. When you have greatness, when you're a 3 time Super Bowl champion, you've earned the respect of the league, you've earned the respect of the officials. And so I think they're more, it's like in basketball, you know, when Joel Embiid gets fouled, no matter how big the foul is, they're going to call it. It's Joel Embiid, right? But when Paul Reed gets fouled, right? Paul Reed's not going to get the call. You know, Mo
I
Bamba's
don't
not
even
going
know
to
who
get the
Paul
call.
Reed is.
Well, exactly. But I mean, but the point is, bro, like when you're a great player, calls go your way, right? You earn the respect to get those calls. But when you're young, you know, you don't have the track record that Patrick Mahomes does. Calls aren't going to go your way. But look, I respect Patrick Mahomes for it. But we got one more. We got one more for you. Player A, player B. All right. Player A, 4,159 yards passing, 32 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 64.2% completion percentage, and a 96.1 rating. That's player A. Player B, you got 3,678 yards passing, 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, a 67.2% completion percentage, and an 102.7 rating. Which guy are you taking?
I'm taking B.
Taking player B. All right, you have any guess who it is?
B sounds like Lamar. I'm not sure though.
Player B is Lamar Jackson. That is
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
Player B is Lamar Jackson. Player A is Jordan Love. Jordan Love.
Um,
If it was
I would
me,
take Jordan Love though. I
I, I,
mean, like,
I
oh,
agree. If I was starting a
let's
franchise
just
right
take
now, I'm
him.
taking Jordan Love. I'm taking Jordan Love
Yeah.
100%. 100%. I mean, honestly, I didn't even realize, like, I feel like when you watched him this year, like, he made such big growth. And I don't even realize that he had 32 touchdowns and only 11 interceptions. Like, that's a great season. That's a 3-to-1 ratio. I mean, that's a great year. I mean, Lamar Jackson, obviously, we know he scrambles just as much as he runs, right? So his numbers are never going to be as high passing. But, like, Lamar Jackson, like, for me, you talk about big games. Like, I have never seen him show up to a big game. You know, Ravens were a great team this year. What happened? You know, like they have not proven to anybody, especially Lamar, that he has not proven to anyone that he's a big game quarterback and then he can win you a Super Bowl. You know, like you can talk the talk all you want, win as many MVPs as you want. But if you can't walk the walk, then no one's gonna believe you until you actually go out and do it. You know what I mean?
I think he's just never had since what was it? Mark Ingram. I mean, what was
Yeah.
his like? He's never really had a solid running back. He's never really had.
He is the running back.
He is the running back, which sucks. I think if he had a serious threat in the backfield that wasn't him,
Yeah.
um, like that, he just didn't have that. I feel like by the end of the season, they always have one running back that's
Yep.
out there on crutches. Like they
Well,
just,
the Ravens practice facility needs to get studied. I'm telling you, they had like three guys tear the ACL one year in a row. I'm like, something's got to get studied, man. I don't know what kind of grass you're
yeah,
playing
they
on.
got those fishnet turf.
But listen, I think Lamar obviously won a unanimous. Well, he won a second MVP this year. Um, I think I think he has a bright future in the NFL, but I just don't know whether he's ever going to win a Super Bowl. I mean, I think he's going to be one of those great quarterbacks that never gets over the hump, which is unfortunate. But you never know. I mean, the Ravens had a great defense. The thing is, right? You talk about the Chiefs. I mean, they were horrible. They were horrible this year. Horrible compared to their standards. They lost to the Eagles. I mean, how much
Yeah, they
worse is it
suck.
get, right? So if you can't beat the Chiefs when they look that bad, then when are you going to beat the Chiefs? You know? And with a dynasty like the Chiefs in the AFC, like the Bills, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Browns, like your window for winning a championship is not big at all. You know, like you have to take advantage of every opportunity that guys like Patrick Mahomes would give you. And I feel like it was a very big missed opportunity this year for Lamar Jackson. I mean, do you
Yeah, it
think
was.
what's his championship window?
I think he's got probably the one of the biggest championship windows just because of, he's got his arm, he's got a
Yeah,
hose for an arm. He's legitimately always going to be a top five fastest player on in the game.
yeah,
Like as far as like any individual game,
yeah,
the opposing team might have two or three people faster than him. Um, so he's just one of the fastest players, strong arm. I mean, they beat the brakes off of the 49ers. Like that was they
yeah,
did the 49ers in. So it could if he stays with the Ravens, they need to get him a running back and they need to get him another receiver. I think Odell is at the tail end of his career, and that was his second best receiver this year.
yeah,
Zay Flowers was a rookie. He's gonna come on. I think
yep,
if they did a lot of things this year to give him and they were a lot better than most people expected they were gonna be. That receiver group was raggedy. Like
yeah,
they put that together in with a low budget. That was just low budget. I think that's as much as he can do with a low budget offense that was put together. I think if they, bring in some more rookie talent like they did last year and bring in some veterans. I don't know if Odell's coming back this year, but they're solid. I put them up against anybody. I think if Patrick Mahomes gets there, he's just not going to ever give it up. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to go on another, I think he can. I just think Patrick Mahomes not going to let anyone slide on him. I don't think. I think it's over for Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, all these great quarterbacks they're just gonna have to face the next GOAT, and he's not. I don't think if as long as Patrick Mahomes is at that championship game in the AFC, no one's getting past him. He's not gonna let that happen. I think people are gonna finally realize that Andy Reid's a better coach than Bill Belichick ever was.
I already think that, but that's
Yeah,
probably
I think that's historically he's a better drafter, historically better offense,
yeah,
solid defenses.
yeah,
Um, he should equal him in Super Bowls soon. I
yeah.
think they got the recipe there, and I don't think it's anything against any other quarterback. I don't think it's
No,
anything against their skill set or their
no,
team. Teams
yeah,
are solid. It's
yep,
just literally, it's just that one dude, that one pudgy fat kid that can sling the rock is
yeah.
just doing
But
everybody in.
I think it's this simple, especially with this guy, with Josh Allen. If he ever wants to get to a Super Bowl, there's only one solution. Only one solution. He needs to get out of Buffalo, get out of the AFC, and go to the
Yeah.
NFC. He needs
And
to.
that goes for every quarterback.
Yeah, but I'm telling you right now, Joe Burrow has beaten Patrick Mahomes in a big game. Joe Burrow did that. He beat him in the AFC Championship game.
He did.
Josh Allen has not. Josh Allen has not. Bengals went to the Super Bowl. They had their shot. They can
And
get
what
back.
happened?
But they lost. But that's
They
okay.
got scripted. They got scripted into a loss. There's no. I
Listen,
remember that Super Bowl, and Los Angeles had about 20 takes for a touchdown within the last. They literally had like 20 shots at the end zone within the 5 yard line.
I'm
That
not arguing.
that was bad.
I'm not arguing that that's not true. I'm just saying
That
that
was bad.
yeah, but the Bengals beat Mahomes. I can see Burrow doing it.
They
I've
did.
watched Burrow do it. Josh Allen has not done it. I don't care how well you play. If you don't win, you don't win. And I think Josh Allen, if he stays in the AFC, I just don't see him ever. I mean, he had Mahomes in Buffalo this year. He had him in Buffalo. They still lost. And he had home field advantage. They still lost. I just don't see it. I mean, great. Bills Mafia is all great, whatever. The point is, bro, you're not going to win the AFC with Patrick Mahomes there. Joe Burrow, I've seen do it. He can get to the Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes in the conference. I don't see Josh Allen doing it. He can prove me wrong, but I think he needs to hop out of the AFC, get to the NFC, maybe the Eagles if Jalen Hurts doesn't pan out. I don't know, but he needs to find some Cowboys. I don't know. Listen, but he needs to hop out of the AFC and go to the NFC for a shot. That's just what I. Those are my thoughts. But what's your way too early Super Bowl prediction for next year? Way too early, but give me a prediction.
Way too early prediction for next year. I'm gonna get Chiefs versus man. You know what? I'm gonna do Chiefs versus Eagles just
Listen,
because just because that's my team.
yep,
And I mean, this is it for Jalen Hurts. I think if he doesn't produce this year, very literally might be murdered by the city. So I
listen.
just because I mean that historical collapse was like 99% on him. I think he needs to. I don't know if he just needs more time in the coach's room or
Yeah.
watching film, but he needs to be able to call an audible. He needs to be able to call a hot route.
He needs to see the open receivers. You know how many times I've seen him miss open receivers this year? I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think he just needs more film time. And
Yep,
the
I agree.
and the coaching was horrible. I mean, the
Yep,
the coaching was I was
bro.
so bad that
Yeah,
I literally can call the plays that they were gonna call.
but people were predicting the plays before they even happened. That's how poor the offense was. The defense was horrible, but the offense was brutal. I'm telling you, it was. Uh, yeah, I've never seen an offense call more screen passes or passes behind the line of scrimmage in my life, bro. Like it'd be 3rd and 10, they're calling a screen pass. I'm like, what are you doing? Like you're throwing it 1 yard and you're gonna expect the guy to get 10 yards. I mean, come on. Like
It's
they
so
couldn't run
badly
the field this
timed.
year. Yeah,
So badly timed. I think the defense was not as bad as the offense.
yep,
The offense was just horrible to watch, but they
yep,
had the talent to make it up.
yep,
The defense was bad, but did not have the talent to make it up.
yep,
Like once you get behind,
yep.
beyond the defensive line, there was besides Slay, I mean the other
Got
five
hurt.
players were
Yeah,
useless.
yeah. Look, I'd agree. I have to agree with you. My way too early Super Bowl prediction, got to be Eagles, Chiefs, go Birds all day, every day. But at this point, the Eagles got a long way to go. And the 49ers, I think, are poised to, make a run at it again. I mean, Kyle Shanahan's got to win one eventually, right? I mean, he's now 0-2 against the
I
Chiefs
don't
in this,
think so.
but
I think his scheme, I mean, I think it's getting pretty predictable now. I think you know what they're gonna do. Jet sweeps, under center,
yeah,
quick slants. I think you can dial it up against that. He does use his players as to the best of their abilities,
yep.
but Green Bay is
Don't
who I
sleep on Green
would
Bay.
see going. Jordan Love.
Yeah,
I can
don't
see
sleep on
Jordan
him.
Love going next year.
Oh, I like
Going,
me some love. I like me some love. Don't sleep on him.
yeah, yeah. So I think Green Bay would be my real pick, and then Philly's like my heart pick,
Yeah. Your
picking with my
hopeful pick.
heart
Your
pick.
hopeful pick. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my hopeful pick, but yeah. Chiefs, I definitely got going. I think they're just a tier above everyone else.
Can't bet against Mahomes, right?
I never bet for
All right,
him.
well, that's all we got for today. Brian, I appreciate you getting on, and hopefully I can have you on again soon.
All right, George. Thanks for having me.
All right, I'll see you guys on next week's episode. Thanks for tuning in to the sports show. See you next time.
See you.